Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is time to rise and shred with the one, the only, the handsome, the devilishly handsome Jacob Gaffney, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that, putting on a profile this morning, looking good, looking handsome. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get into some very important topics this week. If you didn't catch Rise and Shred last week, you missed out. You missed out on a lot of important stuff. And if you want to subscribe, do it right now, right, Jacob? Click the link below, Rise and Shred. Don't miss a single day of it. There's no BS in our newsletter. It's not even a newsletter. It's not a newsletter. It's a daily diary. That's what we're all about. We are daily diary of the mortgage industry. That's what we're here for. All right, Jacob, let's dive into this. So let's start with some startups. You know, it seems like to me, we have a lot of people who are from outside the industry kind of trying to flood into our industry. This good, this bad. What do you think here?
I think that we've seen this before, right? We've seen a lot of people thinking mortgages. I can do that. Can you do that? No, but I can do that because I'm special. I'm from Silicon Valley. And they don't really ever fully appreciate that mortgages are a people business. They never really get that tech can only be as good as the user experience of the people using it.
Yeah.
And let's face it, with mortgage, there's a lot of different kinds of people using the tech. So it's very, very hard to generalize and anonymize and fill the disclosures and to get all that in and stay up with regulatory compliance and everything like that. You can't do it.
No.
Everyone thinks they can, so they try to get into it. Now, that said, I think we need the competition, man.
Oh, okay.
I think we're more and more consolidating way too high up. I think we're more and more not letting that kind of disruptive attitude in. We've already, hey, you saw it last week yourself, firsthand.
I did.
Like, people don't want competition.
Nope.
They don't want it. They
don't.
Just want to be able to identify everything. They don't want anything with a new definition coming in and messing things up. So I like it. It gives us something to talk about. I'm a bit concerned about how much money they're just kind of like throwing into the industry, but hey, you got it, spend it. All right. Yeah. It's just that we face it. Now, there are some things that will work. There are some things that won't work, but I think that the key to the good technology is you got to have a mortgage insider running the show somewhere. What we've seen, you've got to have someone. You can't have these finance gurus kind of like stepping in and thinking you need a veteran that has been, your chief technology officer has got to have like 20 years experience.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, if you look through all these IPOs that are going on and you look at the leadership across the board and you read deep into those S1s, you can see that they're going, all the people, they have the deck stacked on chief technology talent. So that's just, they know it because they lived it.
Sure.
So if people haven't lived it, they just can't step into it. That's my 2 cents. I have more 2 cents. You want some more 2 cents?
I want a little bit more 2 cents because I'm feeling the exact same way. And again, I'm all about, new ideas coming into this space. But when you're running a mortgage, so let's just talk about this one that we talked about in Rise and Shred this week. WeWork, the founder's starting to throw his ring into that. They're raising a lot of money for it. When somebody has no idea about our space, again, it makes me just question if they're coming from the right, if they're just getting in to make money or are they actually coming in to better the space. We don't just need more mortgage company. We don't just need people just throwing the ring in the hat to make money. We need people in here for the right reasons, to better the consumer experience, to better the entirety of our industry, not just to make money.
I agree. And the whole business model of WeWork itself has had questions to its validity. It's had questions to its long-term. Even though we all know what it is, doesn't mean that we all need to get behind it.
See, and I guess that's where I'm coming from too, is just because they think, they've done something great. And again, I love that you question, they've done some questionable business practices. So we just need to make sure that people who are coming into the space are coming in for the right reasons. So I guess that's it. Let's end with that. It'll be interesting to see where things continue to progress or who we continue to see enter into the space. Next thing, stimulus, big talk, the new administration, there's the stimulus it is going through. So good thing, bad thing, Barry Habib talked about, is this going to affect rates? But what's your take on the stimulus and how it's going to affect our industry?
So it's really interesting the way the stimulus is rolling out and evolving, and the way in which they're trying to solve the nation's problems. Think back to the last recession, how they basically gave stimulus to the big banks. right? That was basically, they're like, hey, here's some money, go and lend it. And the big banks were like, yeah, we'll get around to that in 5 years or so.
Sure.
We're just going to sit on our cash for the most part. Didn't really do a whole lot of lending. The home buyer tax credit did a little bit. Home buyer tax credit won't really work in this environment. There's no supply. So
Sure.
there's no distressed houses. So they have made forward-thinking steps in that the stimulus needs to go directly to individuals. We are seeing little blips in the economy when people are getting their stimulus checks. Some people are suffering and do have to spend it, but it's not going far enough. So I think what we're seeing is an evolution of stimulus. The latest one is that they'll have a child tax credit that pays out over the course of a year. So now they're thinking, right? They're thinking like, how can I make the stimulus be more effective? So it's a duration play all of a sudden. That's new. That's new. Is it going to work? We'll see. We'll see. But what's more important is that, are they going to get even more creative? I hope so. I hope if they think that we want to relieve some student loan debt, we're going to help reduce your student loan debt in the form of a home buyer tax credit when you buy the house. And no one's going to know whether or not you're getting that home buyer tax credit because they don't know if you have the student debt. That way, the seller can't bake the higher tax credit into the cost in the selling because it's high, but I get 15 grand off my student loans if I buy a house. Boom. That's thinking stimulus. Someone write that down, Josh. Send that to your folks in Washington.
I was going to say, ladies and gentlemen, write that down. That's a good point right there. Jot it down. And that's what you can look forward to. That's what Jacob's full of. That's what we're here for in Rise and Shred. Those ideas, keeping this mind, keeping this conversation going. Let's switch gears a little bit. Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to the Buccaneers. Congratulations. Big kudos to them. Whether you're a Chiefs fan, whether you're a Bucs fan, interesting. I'm not a huge NFL fan anymore. I think it's more acting and more you call it what it is. I know I don't want to offend anybody when it comes to their sports team. Some people are all NFL. I just think it's a lot of overpaid athletes in my opinion, but I digress. Let's talk Super Bowl. Who actually won the Super Bowl? In our opinion, it was a big year. I want to say maybe a big year for our industry. We saw a lot of advertising. Let's dive into this, Jacob. What are your thoughts on the Super Bowl?
Well, first of all, I felt that the Super Bowl yesterday really, really encapsulated the nation like ever before. Like I think it had everything that we're going through. It felt like a lockdown Super Bowl. To be honest, it played like a lockdown Super Bowl. It looked like the economy, and I can get into that a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool that there were mortgage people advertising.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that. I also saw I don't know if you saw the Reddit Wall Street Bets.
I did.
That was
pretty,
and then Robinhood advertised.
Robinhood advertised in it as well.
It had all the drama in the advertisements. So I was watching the advertisements. Rocket Mortgage bought the most time.
Yeah.
United Wholesale had something in there kind of confusing with is it United Wholesale? Is it findthebroker.com? It's kind of like the message was a little bit, not clear with the dude with the house on his head and the woman looking at it a little, but I got it. Okay. It didn't make me want to look for a broker, but it did make me want to get a house. So halfway success there. And then you had guaranteed rate, playing it safe kind of at the end. Right. And, let's face it, like, Rocket Mortgage was very, very confusing advertisement as far as I'm concerned. It was very trendy. It was uplifting. It was all that. But I would have almost imagined, like, you need a house, go here, because they forget that mortgages are still very, very, very complicated to potential home buyers. And it's especially scary time. The rest of the ads really dealt with how to support local businesses, how to be cool with the economy. These ads came across as like, we are winning. They didn't come across as we are part of this. We're all in this together. Hugs. It really came across as, it looked like Rocket Mortgage, United Wholesale, and Guaranteed Rate were competing with each other for the best ad and for their best top of the market share, instead of like trying to like spread the love, which was kind of the rest of the theme of the Super Bowl. So that was kind of my take on that. I was very, very excited. Don't get me wrong. Very excited to see participation in mortgage in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
I'm nitpicking here, okay?
Yeah.
Observations, because it's the daily diary of the mortgage industry, and you write about what miffed you the day before as much as what success was. But let's talk about the game itself.
All right, let's talk about it.
The game itself was actually the American economy.
Okay.
And Patrick Mahomes was the American economy. You know, he went in like at the beginning of the pandemic. I think we're going to be okay. I think we could do this. You know, had a couple of setbacks. Still kind of had the motion. I could take this back. I could take this back. But then somewhere around the third quarter, the meds started wearing off. He started limping. He started struggling. He started throwing these Hail Marys. You know, God, please make something work.
Somebody catch this.
Meanwhile, Tom Brady's the mortgage market. Calm, cool, collective, every pass of completion, smooth sailing the whole time through. Don't worry, it'll be okay. Schooling everybody else in the house on how it's done. That's the mortgage market, ladies and gentlemen. Change my mind. Try to change my mind.
Change my mind.
You had Tom Brady, old white guy, running the show through the whole thing. It was so good. The expertise, the class, the delivery, it was all there. And it was a good example about how the mortgage market is a great place for people to get into. You can learn underneath. You can come and support. It really underpinned that you need great leadership. Again, this is something we talk about at the top, how a great leader can come just in. Well, you had Rich on your show.
I did
last week. Case in point, Rich goes into Princeton through solid leadership, gets huge amounts of growth compared to everyone else. His growth is like even bigger. It still goes from success to success to success. It's not just the team that makes the win. It was the leader.
100%.
And I think he showed that. And that was just awesome. And it showed that experience has wisdom in it, and the ability to leverage it was key. And I just thought it was so impressive. I just thought it was so impressive. And I think, after playing in that game, Patrick Mahomes, like the economy, is going to come back. He's going to get vaccinated. And he's going to be back on track.
Stronger than ever, ready to hit. So here, I love this comparison. I literally made the same analogy earlier. I was talking to somebody else prior to this, and I said, what's really interesting is Tom Brady. He comes into an organization, a losing organization. Like, look at the Buccaneers, what they were prior to this. He comes in as a leader and just absolutely turns his organization around. Just 100%. Comparing this to the industry, I'm not saying our industry needed a turnaround, but he is just that leader that he just got it done. He knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for 20 years. He's had how many Super Bowls under his belt? He was so calm and so collected. I love watching him in particular. Again, you love him or hate him. As a leader, watching him under pressure, it was like, whoa. Like, leadership should watch that guy and just like, wow, I can learn a lot from him. And again, even when he got stuck, or when he was when he had rushes coming from somebody who played football, coming from a defensive end, that when I played in football, when it was my job to blitz, when I was coming in from that outside line and just going full force, like, my job was to kill that quarterback. When he saw that guy coming, what's funny is I watched him a couple times. He would step right up in. Like, and I'm not turning this to a sports analogy, but this is our industry. Jacob, you couldn't have hit it on the head better. I think right now more than ever, our industry is calm, is collected. I think there's some new blood. I love comparing Mahomes too. I think he's got opportunity. You see him, you see the potential that he is. I think he's there. But watching somebody like Tom Brady, he can even learn from him. I heard a quote after the game that he's like, going into a Super Bowl, I learned so much. And watching Tom and how he reacted to this entire event, like, that just shows that he's willing. He's a great leader in the making as well, because he's willing to learn, willing to see somebody who's gone before him. So, Jacob, this is probably one of the best comparisons I've ever heard in the industry. Like, this is absolutely just phenomenal, and I hope everybody takes this to heart, because this needs to be discussed. We need to be talking about this. Going back real quick, I agree with what you said about Rocket. In my personal opinion, again, we stay very agnostic. We stay very Switzerland, and we try to do that within Rise&Shred. Stay within your space. If you're gonna promote Rocket, promote Rocket. I think it confused consumers more than anything, and I think that was the hardest part for me. Is don't try to support the broker channel if you're not really you're really in it for your retail space. Just call it as it is, and we're cool with that. Just make sure you stay within your track. Play it that way. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and like I said, it was really refreshing to see it in there after
Yeah.
all these years, and it was nice because our market is one that does have the money to spend on those ads, and that's very good. If we could roll back a little bit, talking about you can put it out there, but who's actually going to be buying houses?
Yeah.
2021, that rolls back to the whole idea of how the stimulus is working, and why they need to rethink how it's delivered. And I will tell you right now that there is a very alarming statistic that's just in the back of everyone's head, which is the share of wealth between the early 1980s to now. And Sheila Bair, who is the former chair of the FDIC, tweeted this out. So this is why I got this yesterday. And she was talking about in the guise of stimulus that the upper class, the wealthiest people in the early 80s had 60% of the wealth. Now they have 80% of the wealth. Okay, the lower income class has remained pretty flat. So that means the middle income class, which is most of the potential home buyers at this point, the largest class by volume in the United States is the middle class. They've gone from 32% of the wealth to 17%.
Wow.
So what that means is that more and more people don't have enough money to buy a house. And with home prices going up, the stimulus is trying to, and this is where we get to the important part, the stimulus is trying to address wealth inequality in America. So until we have a market that can adequately reflect that problem, then there's no amount of Super Bowl advertising that's marginally going to shift the needle either way. So that's just kind of, sorry to bring it down. You were having fun there, but that is something that's in the back of my mind quite a lot. And I hope that the stimulus, again, if it can evolve in a way to shift the wealth in an upward trajectory, then we're going to be in a creative place. And then we're going to see really everybody being able to get on this, not just the top 3 in the market, not just the top 5, but the top 100. That's what we want, is we want the top 100 having a more accurate market share. And it's strange because it is like the Super Bowl, extremely competitive. The leaders at those companies, each of them are very different. I've had conversations with each of them, and I respect them. I respect their marketing teams, and I respect where it is they're trying to go. But I think it's the other shops that need to have a little bit of an opportunity to take more market share. And that's how we need to think about it. And a lot of that is what you're doing, Josh, is you're having a lot of people on. You have the full spectrum. Like I said, you had Rich on. I see you have all these guests on. And I wish there was a lot more of that in the market.
I agree. And I couldn't agree more, especially right now with all that's happening in the industry. 2020 was such a big year, but we need more people willing to show. We need more people willing to speak out and to bring positive influence. I couldn't agree with you more in the fact that I would love to see the top 100 be more present, not just the top 3, not just the top 5. I think competitiveness, I think competition breeds opportunity. I think it breeds more than anything, it helps us be better. I know I see people who, try to compare themselves to what we do, and it just helps us become better. I don't get, I don't get mad. I just go out there and I try to become better, try to improve on myself. I don't need to be better than them. I just need to be better myself. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. It's one of those situations where, you just have these startups, again, going back to our earlier conversation, thinking that they can throw money at the problem and somehow gain success. And it doesn't really capture the nuances of home ownership, which is one thing that gets mistaken, is that, you get the sense that some of these companies would be more than happy to see failure of their competitors. You get the impression, like with some of the more competitive companies out there, that they actually don't really want to see you around. They'd rather see you fail. And I think that kind of mentality, while not prevalent, does exist, and it's kind of just unfortunate for the entire industry that there are some of those attitudes that prevail, and there's nothing we could do about it. So what we can do is continue to highlight the positive, highlight the love, continue to be the only daily diary of the mortgage industry, touching on the good, the bad, the ugly, everything together. We'll come out okay, man.
Mic drop. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Jacob Gaffney is just going to hit it on that note. That's what we are, ladies and gentlemen. Rise and Shred, we're all about being the daily diary. We're going to bring you the good, the bad, the ugly, the things you need to know. And Jacob is always there at the forefront, always with his expertise and his knowledge. Expect it every single day. Subscribe right now. Click on the link so you can join the Rise and Shred daily diary every single day. Jacob, as always, you're brilliant, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Josh.
Such a brilliant episode. See you guys next week. Every single Monday, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. You guys can join myself and Jacob Gaffney with Rise and Shred with the things you need to know within our industry. With that, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for all of you to go shred, go show up, hustle, repeat every day. See you guys. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you again so much for joining us for today's show. If you like the content, make sure you hit that like button below. And if you already haven't subscribed to our channel, click right over here and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to see our latest video, click over here. And again, if you want to see the best of daily content within the mortgage and real estate industries, you have to subscribe now. We look forward to having you shred with us every single day.